Well, hello, Good Vibes Show fans. Welcome to the season 15 premiere of the Good Vibes Show by me, Jeremy, a part of the Special Chronicles Nerd. Hope you've all caught up on seasons 1 through 14 of the Good Vibes Show, as well as their season recap specials, as well as my special series, The Road to 2022 USA Games, which talks about my training up to, and my results from and my experience of the 2022 Special Olympics USA Games in Orlando, Florida. So, folks, you may have noticed actually I changed up the intro music and how the intro looks because I thought it was a good time to actually do like a pre refresh on the Good Vibe Show's intro and outro for this season. But it's also going to be the permanent new intro and outro because it's kind of cool. And plus, also, technically, I did find out there was a color palette for two of the colors I used for the Good Vibe Show. So, for those who actually watched the season 14 recap special, I hinted that season 15 was going to talk more about the history of the Good Vibe Show. So, we're going to start off with this episode 1 of season 15, talk about the origins and how the Good Vibe Show came to be. So, to be frank or honest in this case, it was actually just me doing recordings on Instagram during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. So, it was around March or April I started doing those little short videos. But then eventually I did like a everyday Instagram live video of me doing the thing, and I dubbed it Give Vibes at the time. And I was with my supervisor at work at when we were talking about at one point, it was like, hey, maybe you can make this into a podcast or something. So that's how the Give Vibes show began. So it was just basically just spreading positivity and give vibes to folks and dirty. So it was more a random coincidence, I'm gonna say in this case, how the Give Vibes show started. But if you want to think about it, the COVID-19 pandemic was like a very bad time all around the world, and I personally thought it was just a good time to actually just spread positivity and all this because I felt like there was a need for it. And yeah, lo and behold, that's what happens. And if you ever really like look at the original footage of it, if you're watching this, you can actually see the original footage. It looks all from a very unique camera angle because it was actually done on a phone. Eventually, the show did move on to other technologies. It did move on to Zoom, and eventually what I'm using now, which is a recording system, of course. But it's actually the very humble beginnings of Good Vibes was just simply me just doing Instagram Live and just saying things. And like, granted, it was kind of fun to do it, to be honest. Granted, sometimes I had a hard time coming up with ideas, honestly, but yeah, the very first episode of the Good Vibes show actually premiered around in May. The actual official first Good Vibes episode. Otherwise, most of all the rest stuff prior to that was actually more like things I just did, like sort of spreading positive and sharing things with folks. And I thought that was important during the pandemic. But like the Good Vibes show itself has sprung from a moment of like when we need the positivity in a very hard time to what it is now. It's an amazing feat, and I think most actually don't understand how I wouldn't say understand how this show came to me and how it's like not very ultra popular. Like, how is it not ultra popular at all? And like, well, maybe because I am not someone who's very podcast personality, I guess. But if you think about just humble beginnings of just something simple during a hard time, has made the Good Vibe show what it is, and throughout that, it just got better. I think I also got a little inspiration. I think I'm going to share this. I got a little inspiration from my friends Josh Mursky and David Thompson on from their podcast, the Sounds Like Autism podcast. Like I sort of got a little inspiration of getting involved in doing podcasting myself that way. But I think I didn't see that the Good Vibe Show becoming a podcast at that moment. It just became a more of me just doing a short video talking about things, and that was it. And like, there were times I actually at the final I actually wrote down what I was going to talk about because the original few episodes weren't really scripted. And honestly, if anyone knows, none of the Good Vibe shows have ever been scripted. So that's actually the honest truth about the Good Vibe show. It's very ad lib. It has never been scripted, ever been. But like, if you really pay attention as throughout the show's evolution, it's kind of one of those things you really take the opportunity to appreciate how it came to be. And I think looking back at it now, at the very humble beginnings of just simple Instagram live videos, which no longer exist, sadly, it has created itself into I wouldn't say a phenomenon. It's not a global phenomenon, sadly, but like it is a podcast that actually is small following, which is good for itself. But like I said, from the humble beginnings, it was just something simple, and it has just become, believe it or not, a good way for me to express positivity to folks. I think a lot of people actually appreciate that with the Good Vibe Show. I think some people have more of like a written out thing for podcasting. Yes, they do. And actually, I attempted another type of podcast that was very short lived. Unfortunately, only made it for 2 episodes, sadly. With a coworker of mine who actually does end up coming on to the Give Out Show as a guest, and I really got to talk more about how guests come on later on this season, because actually it's just talking about what's gone on with the Give Out Show and all the methodologies and all the how you did it, why you did it, how you came to be, and like why you used to do it. And I think that's what makes the Give Vibe Show so fun and exciting to me. I think it serves a purpose as it does now because it allows itself to be I wouldn't say an icon, more of an opportunity for people to actually spreading positive vibes, appreciation, uplifting vibes, all that stuff. And I ended up becoming more of the write up in the slogan, which I'll be nerding to explain because why I chose those things. Like I have no idea currently, but to be honest, I'm gonna tell you right now, when I chose those 4 words, they just worked. Like this just worked. Okay, to be honest, but that's because also they work with good vibes. So like, I'm gonna talk about how if you ever looked at a write up of the Good Vibe Show, like its explanation, I will actually explain why I did it one way and then how I came to another way. It's always worth knowing that it was, to be honest, when I first started writing those, pretty lengthy. But that's for another episode, folks. And I think, as you see, the Good Vibe Show has also gone on in production. Like you've noticed, originally there were no backgrounds, then there became backgrounds, and then there was the logo and everything. Like, yeah, there's a lot of origin stories in that. So those are for later on in this season as well. I just want to thank you all who've tuned into the Good Vibe Show because this is a season I think you all will appreciate just the understanding and the growth of the Good Vibe Show and how and where the future of it goes. So I just want to thank you all for tuning in for this, and I thank you all for joining me talking about I'm calling it the history and the behind the scenes of the Good Vibe Show. This is what season 15 is all about. It's about the Good Vibe Show itself, its origins, and where it's come from to its trajectory, and all that. So I thank you all again for tuning in. So here's our great sponsor from our sponsor, the Special Chronicles Network. The Good Vibe Show is proud to be featured on the Special Chronicles Network. Visit specialchronicles.com for links to follow on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, now known as X. Be sure to also subscribe to the newsletter and find the podcast page for this podcast, The Good Vibe Show by me, Jerry Holy. If you love The Good Vibe Show, then you love the other podcasts on the Special Chronicles Network. Visit specialchronicles.com for links to subscribe to our podcast, newsletter, and to follow us on social media. And to support the podcast on Special Chronicles so we continue our mission of getting respect to people with voices with special talents and abilities, visit specialchronicles.com/give to make a gift today. And folks, remember to follow the Good Vibes Show on Instagram at Good Vibes by JH, Facebook, facebook.com Good Vibes by JH. You can also follow on YouTube the same way to switch YouTube out for Facebook. Also, subscribe to the Good Vibe Show by me, Jerry Haley, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Also, folks, if you want to support me more in my endeavors with the Good Vibe Show, please look up me on Rebel. Jerry M. Holy is my artist today. You can look at all those designs. You can actually find the new Good Vibes logo right here on me. Actually, it's easy to see on this one. I had to look down briefly. It is now an actual design on my Redbubble shop if you want to get it. And thank you all again for tuning in for the season 15 premiere of the Good Vibe Show, part of the Special Chronicles there. Until next time for episode 2, folks, I'll hope you all have a great time, and I'll see you next time for episode 2, folks. Until then, peace out, blah, blah, and have a great time, folks. And I'll see you next time for episode 2 of the Good Vibes Show by me, Jerry Haley, part of the Special Chronicles Network. Bye, everyone.